Hey guys, this is Jamal with Gospel Musicians coming at you, and I'm going to do these series on the Diaries of a Gospel Musician. These series are just going to be some personal stories of me in the past playing, experiences, school, just how I grew up, and maybe they'll be able to help somebody. But first thing I wanted to just talk about was if I was to talk about one of my most memorable moments as a gospel musician. Um, I was thinking about this today. I actually talked to a friend. I went to a pretty large church in Cleveland, Ohio. It was at the time in 2000, a 2,000 member church, early 2000s. A 2,000 member church was actually considered a mega church at that time. Now we got 10,000 and 50,000 members, but 2,000 members for Cleveland, Ohio was a lot back then. And it was about three musicians, well, three keyboard players, bass player, lead player, and a drummer. And we had these conferences, we had these revivals, and every year, every single big name minister would come through. Anybody who's anybody in the gospel world would come through. Juanita Bynum, T.D. Jakes, like it was huge every year. So every year we would have somebody come through, and this particular year we had a woman by the name of Jackie or Jacqueline McCullough, and she came through, and we will alternate and take turns on the organ to see who was going to back up who. And then every now and then, if you had somebody really, really difficult, we would joke around and give it to somebody else, and we'd sit over there and be like, just seeing how they do, and we'd be like, "Good job." So I had Jackie. I had this at this particular conference. I had Jackie McCullough, and so I get on the organ, just all these people, everything, and the cameras and everything. And one thing about her is that she's always in preach mode. Even when she's in teach mode, she's still in preach mode. So you'd be hard pressed to try and back her up a little too early, and she's not really trying to go there yet. So I got a chance to back her up, and this was one of the days I killed it. I must admit, I did. I killed it. And all the musicians was like, "You killed that," and I was like, "Okay, I killed that." Because, and when I say killed it, I meant I backed her up when she was supposed to. I laid back. I pushed her a little bit when she needed pushing. I backed up. It was an absolute perfect organ preaching backup. Perfect. And I can't say that for everything, but it was a perfect time. But that's not what stood out the most. What stood out the most is Jackie McCullough. After it was over, and everybody's done, and she prayed and she did her thing. She turned around and looked at me, and she said, "Thank you." And if you grew up how I grew up, see, a lot of the young bucks, y'all don't really know how we grew up. We grew up in Akron, Ohio, Midwest. We grew up hard. Like, it's almost the attitude towards a musician was almost like, "I need you, but I hate that I need you." Like, we grew up getting blasted from the pulpit. So when people send all these videos about this prophet just blasted this musician, and this bishop in Africa blasted this musician, we don't flinch. This was our life, getting blasted by, matter of fact, you really, if you was worth your weight in salt as a minister, you would, as a minister, you would get blasted. They would definitely blast you. So you knew that was the part of being a minister back then, was getting blasted. So for her to turn around, and the look on her face, and just her humility, when she was the guest, I was the lowly musician. She was the guest, and she turned around and she went, "Thank you, thank you." That meant the world to me. And to this day, I don't remember any minister, pastor, bishop, apostle, anybody ever show that amount of gratitude and humility and respect that came from her. And that will always be a memory in my mind about how humble and how the type of, when you could see Christ in somebody and she's just not preaching it. She literally lives it. And it was, I haven't followed her now, so don't, if you got some doctrines out there that you see, don't come back to me and be like Jamal said. I haven't followed her in a while, but it came to my mind. And if you know her, uh, send her this video. Tell her, I tell you, Jackie McCullough, thank you. That little bit of what you did changed my life, and it put this perspective in my mind. Wow, that's how I want to be as a minister. Because she didn't have to do that. But the gratitude that she had just completely changed my life. I always remember that. I could see it in my head right now. And so I just wanted to share that. That was one of the more memorable moments that I'll never forget in my gospel musician experience.